good day. I am Charin Labahu, and for today's discussion, let's tackle about the chapter 8, Noli Tangere, published in Berlin. Without further ado, let's start. The bleak winter of 1886 was memorable in the life of Rizal for two reasons. First, it was painful, for he was hungry, sick, and despondent in a strange city. Second, it also brought him great joy after enduring so much sufferings because his first novel, the Noli Tangere, came off the press in March 1887. At this moment, we will proceed to the idea of writing a novel on the Philippines. Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin inspired Dr. Jose Rizal to create a novel that would depict the miseries of people under the lash of Spanish tyrants. On the other hand, he was the students in Central University of Madrid. During the reunion in the Paterno residence in Madrid in January 1884, he proposed the writing of the novel about the Philippines by a group of Filipinos. On the other side, his work was unanimously approved by the Paternos such as Pedro, Maximino and Antonio, Graciano Lopez Haina, Evaristo Aguirre, Eduardo de Leti or Let, Julio Laurenti, Melio Figueroa, and Valentin Ventura. Unfortunately, his projects did not materialize. Those compatriots who were expected to collaborate on the novel did not write anything. However, the novel was designed to cover all places of the Philippine life. However, almost everybody wanted to write a woman, which led to how Rizal was disgusted at such flippancy. Instead of writing the novel, they wasted their time on gambling or flirting with Spanish señoritas. At this moment, we will know the importance in writing of Noli. Toward the end of 1884, Rizal began writing the novel and finished one half of it. He went to Paris in 1885. After finishing his studies, he continued writing the other half of Noli. Suddenly, he finished the last fourth of the novel in Germany. He wrote the last chapters in Wilhelmsfield last April until June 1886. On the other hand, he published the Noli Tangere in Berlin last February 1886, and Rizal made his final revisions in the manuscript of Noli. Otherwise, he was sick and penniless. He saw no hope in publishing Noli, which led him to a momentary fit of desperation. Years later, he told his good friend Fernando Cannon, this is the statement that he believed. I did not believe that Noli Tangere would ever be published when I was in Berlin, because at that time I was broken-hearted, weakened, and discouraged from hunger and deprivation. For instance, I was on the point of throwing my work into the fire as a thing accursed and fit only to die. So that's the thought he believed to his friend Fernando Cannon as he took the courage in writing the Noli. We will proceed to the Viola, savior of Noli. Rizal received a telegram from Dr. Maximo Viola, who was coming to Berlin. Viola arrived shortly before Christmas, shocked that he saw Rizal living in poverty and sickly due to lack of proper nourishment. Upon seeing Rizal's novel, he loaned Rizal for living expenses. Afterwards, Christmas was spent together with Rizal, put the finishing touching on his novel. To save expenses, he deleted a chapter named Elias and Salome. Last February 21, 1887, Noli Me Tangere was ready for printing. The printing of novel costed 300 pesos for 2,000 copies. So Viola helped Rizal to publish the book Noli Me Tangere to discount and expenses over the pages being published. In contrast, Rizal suspected as a French spy. During the printing of Noli, a rare incident happened to Rizal. One morning, the chief police of Berlin came to Rizal's boarding house and requested for his passport. Unfortunately, Rizal doesn't have a passport at that time because in those days, it is possible to travel without a passport. While Maximo Viola accompanied Rizal to the Spanish embassy to seek the help of the Spanish ambassador, Count of Benumar, who promised to attend to the matter. But the ambassador failed to keep his promise, for it turned out he had no power to issue the required passport. However, Rizal presented himself to the German police chief, apologizing for his failure to obtain a passport. While he politely asked he was to be deported when he didn't commit any crime, the police informed him that he received reports that Rizal's made frequent visits to rural areas, thereby suspecting him that he was a French spy. In a way, he entered Germany from Paris. He explained to the police that he was not a French spy but a Filipino physician. The police was impressed by Rizal's explanation and was satisfied to allow him to stay freely in Germany. At this moment, we will know the process, how printing of the Noli and how it is finished. On March 21, 1887, Noli Me Tangere came of the press, and immediately Rizal sent the first copies to his intimate friends. They will Blumentritt by Dr. Antonio Regidor G. Lopez Haina, Mariano Ponce, and Felix Hidalgo. On March 29, 1887, Rizal, in his token of appreciation and gratitude, gave Viola the original manuscript of Noli Me Tangere, carefully rolled around pen he used in writing it, with the inscription, "To my dear friend Maximo Viola, the first to read and appreciate my work, by Rizal." At this moment, we will know the history why the title of the novel accomplished. So the title of the novel Noli Me Tangere is a Latin phrase which means touch me not. It is not originally conceived by Rizal, for he admitted taking it from the Bible. Rizal writings to Felix Hidalgo in French last March 5, 1887 said that Noli Me Tangere, words taken from the Gospel of Luke to signify "do not touch me." In citing the biblical source, Rizal made a mistake. It should be from the Gospel of John 2013, verse 17.
And now, let's proceed to the synopsis of the Noli. And in this aspect, I will be highlighting the characters in the story and its role. But before that, let me just say something about the novel Noli Me Tangere. So this novel contains 63 chapters as well as an epilogue. So the main theme of the novel, it talks about the colonialism, religion, and power, where it examines how Spain's colonization of the Philippines allowed the Catholic Church to dominate and rule the region. And now let's proceed to the people in the story or the characters in the story. So first is we have Capitan Tiago or Santiago de los Santos. He is the father of Maria Clara and a friend of Ibarra. So next is we have Crisostomo Ibarra. He is a young and rich Filipino who had just returned after 7 years of study in Europe, the only son of Don Rafael Ibarra as well as a fiancé of Maria Clara. So next is we have Padre Damaso. He is a fat Franciscan friar who had been parish priest for 20 years of San Diego, found in Calamba. And next we have Padre Sibayla, so a young Dominican parish priest of Binondo. Next we have Senor Guevara, an elderly and kind lieutenant of the Guardia Civil. Next we have Don Tiburcio de Espadania, a bogus Spanish physician, lame and henpecked husband of Doña Victoria. Next, we have Maria Clara, so childhood faithful sweetheart of Crisostomo Ibarra, a good friend and obedient daughter. She symbolizes purity and innocence of a sheltered native woman. Next, we have Padre Salve. He is a Franciscan parish priest of San Diego. Tausyo, the philosopher, or the Pilosopo Tasyo. He is a wise old man whose ideas were too advanced for his times, so that the people who could not understand him and called him the Tasyo the lunatic. Next is we have the Don Felipe Lino. He is the teniente, or the mayor and leader of the liberal faction. Next is we have Don Melchor. He is the captain of the Cuadrilleros, known town police. Don Basilio and Don Valentin, they are the former Gobernador Silius and were prominent citizens. Next is we have Sisa, the tale of Sisa, formerly a rich girl who married a gambler and became poor. So she's also the deranged mother of Basilio and Crispin. Next is we have Crispin, an altar boy and who was as well accused of stealing money from the church. We have Basilio, an acolyte or servant tasked to ring the church bell for the Angelus, accused of crimes he did not commit. Next is we have Doña Consolacion. Of course, she is the vulgar mistress of the Spanish alferez. Next is we have Doña Victorina, the flamboyantly dressed wife of a henpecked Spanish quack doctor. We have Elias, that distrusts human judgment and prefers God's justice instead. He prefers a revolution over the reforms. Next is we have Pia Alba, a young, beautiful, and spiritual woman, Maria Clara's mother. Gobernador General, he was the one who occupies the second most powerful rank in the colonial government, second only to the king's supported Ibarra against Padre Damaso. And last is we have two more. We have Alferez, the lieutenant of the Guardia Civil. Then Alfonso Linares, the cousin of Don Tiburcio and godson of Padre Damaso's brother-in-law. So the Noli Me Tangere synopsis of the story, it all started with the young man, an idealistic Juan Crisostomo Ibarra, who returns home after 7 years in Europe. The wealthy mestizo, like his father, Don Rafael, who endeavors for reform primarily in the area of education in order to eliminate poverty and improve the lives of his countrymen. Upon learning about his father's demise and the denial of a Catholic burial for his father, Ibarra was provoked to hit Padre Damaso, which eventually lead to his excommunication. The excommunication was later rescinded upon the intervention of the Governor General. So, Padre Salvi is Ibarra's mortal enemy, accused Ibarra of insurrection. Ibarra's letter to his beloved Maria Clara was used against him. So later in the story, Maria Clara will tell Ibarra that she did not conspire to indict him. She was compelled to give Ibarra's letter in exchange for the letters of her mother before she was born. Maria Clara found out that the letters of her mother were addressed to Padre Damaso about their unborn child, which means that she is the biological daughter of the priest and not of her father, Capitan Tiago. Meanwhile, Ibarra was able to escape the prison with Elias, who also experienced injustice with the authorities. Ibarra was able to speak with Maria Clara about the letters, and thereafter forgave her. Ibarra and Elias flee to the lake and were chased by the Guardia Civil. One was shot and the other survives. Upon hearing the news, Maria Clara believed that Ibarra was dead. She entered the nunnery instead of marrying Alfonso Linares. The fatality wounded Elias found the child Basilio and his dead mother Sisa. So the latter was driven to insanity when she learned that her children were implicated for the theft by the sacristan Mayor Elias. Elias instructed Basilio to dig for his and his Sisa's graves, and there is a buried treasure which he can use for his education. Noli Me Tangere was brilliantly describes the Philippine society with its memorable characters. The melancholic fate of Maria Clara and the insanity of Sisa was characterized the country's pitiful state, which once beautiful turned miserable. So reading Noli Me Tangere or reading this novel, it will open one's mind about oppression and tyranny. And now let's proceed to the Noli based on the truth. So actually, the Noli Me Tangere, unlike many works of fictional literature, it was a true story of Philippine conditions during the last decades of Spanish rule. So the places, the characters, and the situations really existed. The facts that was narrated in the novel are all true and have happened. So the characters, Ibarra, Maria, Clara, Tasio, Capitan Tiago, Padre Damaso, Padre Salve, and many more were drawn by Rizal from persons who actually existed during his times. Maria Clara in reality was Leonor Rivera. Although in real life she became unfaithful, unlike the heroine of the novel, and married an Englishman, Ibarra and Elias represented Rizal himself. Tasio, the philosopher, was his older brother Pasiano. Padre Salve was identified by Rizalists as Padre Antonio Pernavieja, the hated Augustinian friar in Cavite, who was killed by the patriots during the revolution. Capitan Tiago was Capitan Hilario Sonico of San Nicolas. Doña Victorina was Doña Agustina Medel, and the two brothers, Basilio and Crispin, were the Crisostomo brothers of Hagonoy. Padre Damaso was typical of domineering friar during the days of Rizal, who was arrogant, immoral, and an anti-Filipino. Next is we have missing chapter of the Noli. So in the original manuscript of Noli Me Tangere, there was a chapter entitled Elias and Salome, which follows chapter 26 in the woods. This particularly chapter on Elias and Salome was deleted by Rizal so that it was not included in the printed novel. His reasons for doing so was definitely economic. So by reducing the pages of the manuscript, the cost of printing would correspondingly be reduced. So the missing chapter runs as follows. And the summary of the missing chapter, Elias and Salome, is that the story is here. Salome waits desperately for Elias, thinking that he would pass by the water anytime soon. Elias, however, is nowhere to be seen because he is in fact hiding from the authorities who are currently patrolling the lake. When the two finally get to meet, Salome tells the youth of her plan to move to Mindoro and live with her relatives and requests that he goes with her. Elias, however, refuses her offer because he does not want her to be entangled with the tragedies and troubles of his past. He tells the lady that she must marry an honorable and respectable man, one whom she truly deserves and who can make her happy. So the points or the point of view in this missing chapter is that Elias and Salome, this was originally the 25th chapter of the Noli. However, Rizal removed it during the actual printing of the book due to financial constraints. Elias is better known from previous chapters as the pilot of the boat ridden by Crisostomo Ibarra and his companions in the lake, around the lake. And Salome is a young girl of 17 years who lives by the edge of the lake. And lastly, we have here Rizal's friends praise the Noli. So, friends of Rizal hailed the novel, praising it in glowing colors. However, Rizal's enemy condemned it. Rizal anticipated the vitriolic attacks of his enemies, who were sore to be told the truth of their evil ways. So Rizal wrote to Blumentritt, the government and the friars will probably attack the work, refuting my statements, but I trust in the God of truth and in the person who have actually seen our sufferings. Of the numerous congratulatory letters received by Rizal from his friends about the Noli that from Blumentritt was significant, he accepted cordial congratulations for his beautiful novel about customs, which interests the people extraordinarily. So Rizal's works, as German says, has been written with the blood of the heart, and so the heart also speaks. So they continue reading it with much interest and shall beg to ask Rizal and then for an explanation when they find words unknown to them. For instance, the word filibustero must have certain meaning in the Philippines that they do not find in the Spanish of the Peninsulars nor in that of the Spanish peoples of America. Okay, so another person who admired Rizal's novel Noli Me Tangere was Dr. Antonium M. Irigidor. He was a Filipino patriot and lawyer who had been exiled due to his complicity in the Cavite Mutiny of 1872. He read avidly the novel Noli and was very much impressed by its author. So on May 3, 1887, he felicitated Rizal saying, if the Quixote immortalizes his author because it exposes to the world the ailments of Spain, your Noli Me Tangere will bring you an equal glory. With your modesty and your voracious and able appraisal, you have dealt a mortal blow to that old tree full of blemishes and decay. So every Filipino patriot will read your book with avidity, and upon discovering in every line a veracious idea and in every word a fitting advice, he will be inspired and he will regard your book as the masterpiece of a Filipino and the proof that those who thought us incapable of producing great intellects are mistaken or lying. So that would be all for this chapter. I hope you learned something. Thank you for listening and watching.